Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining today. Today we are looking at the JMRI episode number 20. And this one is all about how to take loads from industries and ship them over great distances. So we know that railroads like to ship goods, but they really like to ship them really, really far. And this is how they make most of their money. So this one's going to be all about how to take industries on your layout or your route, however you have it set up. And we're going to talk about how to use schedules to ship those carloads far, far, far away. And while it is nice to discuss the options of shipping loads in shorter distances, we're going to be looking at how to take them really far. Stay tuned. All right, so just as an example, this is a lumber mill. So the lumber mill receives logs, ships out lumber. And there are numerous industries I'm going to demonstrate to you here with examples of where this lumber is shipped. This is on the St. Louis Southwestern Coxon sub, which is a route I've been working on for Trainz 2019. This here is a furniture mill. This one is obviously just on the other side of the yard there. This does not receive any rail traffic in the form of lumber. That's because it's close enough that they ship it on trucks. And that's kind of the whole point of today's video, is talking about which industries ship goods and how far. So we've got this lumber mill ships to the tool plant here. This makes different forms of tools. They receive lumber and steel and coal. Think of it as like an old tool and die factory. Here is a toy plant, or as they call it, an entertainment plant. So they make different toys and things for kids. This is about 10 miles away from the lumber mill, and that tool plant from earlier is about 15. Definitely close enough in the real world where they would ship the lumber on trucks instead of trains. Here's a pallet plant here, making pallets for serving the industries. And then we have a paper mill in the background there that receives wood chips from the same lumber mill. These industries are about 35 miles away, still close enough that they would probably get shipped in trucks. And here we have a box plant that receives paper in the form of cardboard from the paper mill. It's only a few miles away, but once again, this is about how to ship cars far. All right, so over here in JMRI, the big secret today for what we're going to talk about is how to use schedules, and actually to make the loads go from one industry to staging, or to come from staging to the industry. So what I'm going to do is in town A, we're going to set up the lumber mill. So let's add a spur track, bring that over here. Let's call it the lumber mill. Super original name there. Let's give it 230 feet. We're going to ship it on 73-foot center beams, but they are listed as flat BH wood. There we go. All right, we are going to add a schedule. So let's go to add. Let's see here. Bring this guy over. Let's give it a name. Lumber loads, if I could type. All right, we're going to add that schedule. Add the flat BH wood. I do have a video completely on how to set up schedules in general, so I'm not going to go over that this time. I'm more just going to hit the main details. So we are going to make it so that we receive empty. This is a custom load of empty that I have created. It is listed as actually empty, but because it's a custom load, it does get routed, which is nice. So we're going to receive empty. We will ship lumber, but this is the key. If you don't want your load to go to another industry on your layout, and you specifically want to simulate how, your layout might be 40 or 50 miles, but in the real world, we're probably not going to ship a rail car load that short of a distance in most cases. Keyword there was most cases. Then you're going to want to have your car get routed either to your east staging or your west staging, or if you have south or north, basically anywhere that will take the car in a simulated manner off of your route. That is the goal, okay? If you leave these blank, then it will ship lumber, and since destination will be blank, it will take it to any industry on your route or to any staging track that accepts lumber. So we want to eliminate the shipping to any industries, and so we're going to have a destination set for both of our staging opportunities. Since these are the only places we want them to ever go, we're not going to do the random. We're not going to do the weights or the hits or anything like that. Or sorry, hits is done automatically. We're not going to do the weight. Weight causes it to skip. Now, one more thing you want to check, although it's not necessarily as important. If you go to Tools and Options, this is under the Schedule menu. We have this. Percentage of custom loads generated by staging. So you can take this number all the way up to 1,000, which means that staging will generate 10 times the length of the spur for this spur. We definitely don't want that, but you can have 200 would be understandable. So that will let you kind of overload some traffic, which is nice. But you have to have some alternate tracks and yard space and things like that. So we're not going to worry about setting that up right now. But the reason this matters is because this means that all of the loads for the spur that come into the spur, meaning all the cars that come in empty with this custom load of empty, will be generated by staging, okay? You can also bring that down if you wanted to, but we're going to leave that right there. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to save this schedule, get it out of the way, and then we're going to go to Town B. So over here in B Town, let's see, let's set up the tool mill real quick. We're only worried about lumber this time, so there's the tool mill. Let's do 230 on that as well. Actually, no, let's make it simple. Let's do, let's see, let's do 160. How about that? That'll give us enough for 2 center beams. So let's make a schedule just real quick. Tool mill. So we're going to add that. And we're going to set this, actually, hold on, I need to back up here, clear all these. Let's just make it flat BH wood. That way when I go here with the schedule again, I only have one option, which is exactly what I want. So we're going to have it receive lumber. And we're going to have it ship empty. But we don't want it to ship empty back to the lumber mill. Although, you know, remember you could, but what we're trying to simulate is shipping cars to off-route destinations farther away. Now, to be fair, shipping an empty car the shortest distance to another industry probably would actually make sense. But we'll just keep to simplicity for now, and we're going to just have a rule where we don't want any industry on our layout shipping to any other industry on the layout. Everything goes from staging or to staging. So in that case, we would send one to east staging and one to west staging. So if we go do this on all of our industries, let's see, done with B Town. Let's go to C Town. Let's say C Town. What do they have? What else would require lumber? Let's do. Oh yeah, just the lumber yard. That way they can, you know, consumers can buy lumber. It's not a bad idea. Add that. So add the schedule here. And we're going to call it the lumber yard. Super original name, I know. Not worried about that right now. Once again, same thing as last time. I forgot to clear everything and make it just get flat BH wood, but now that's all set. All right, and then let's see. Sorry, wrong button. Let's edit the schedule here, and we only want to receive loaded lumber. So we're going to receive lumber, and ship empty. Once again, we're only shipping that to east staging or west staging. Now, like I said, if cars are in a pool, which I imagine is how a lot of railroads manage car traffic, then if this industry is close to the lumber mill, it probably would make sense to ship the empty cars directly from here back to the lumber mill. You could also make that an option. You know, you could do A Town and then the lumber mill. And, you know, that makes sense because we don't make money off shipping empty cars unless those cars are owned by, you know, a leasing company or a different railroad. So anyways, that's that. All right, now that's all done. Get that out of the way. And then real quick, we're going to make 2 routes and 2 trains. So let's go to routes. For my routes, these are some old ones I've used for different experiments, so just ignore those. We're going to make a new route. And we're going to call this westbound lumber. All right, we'll add that. And then let's see, let's do some locations. So we're going to start, how about we start in east staging. Add that location. Let's just do 10 moves. This will be heading west. And then let's go Town A, Town B, and Town C. And then we will stop at the major yard. So let's do, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 moves each time. Nothing too major, okay? And then we'll have 10 there so we can set everything out. Actually, we should do probably, I just want to make sure it doesn't give me an error, so I'm going to do 30 for now. Not that I expect to have that many cars on the train. All right. Now, this is going to let us pick up our train at staging. We're going to move west. We're going to work all these towns. Notice 8 towns where the lumber mill is. We're going to pick up some loaded lumber cars here. If we've set this up correctly, then when we print the schedule, or sorry, the switch list, it's going to have us pick up some lumber cars here, but none of them are going to go to these industries in these towns, which is exactly what we want, okay? So give me a few minutes to get off camera here and get that set up, and then we'll pull up that switch list and see how it sounds. All right, guys, so here is the switch list. The funny thing about this is apparently I wanted to see how this sounds, but, you know, it's more about how it looks. So, but yeah, that's the beauty of it. Sometimes we say funny things. All right, so let's kind of make some sense of this. So this is a westbound train, westbound lumber. It's starting in east staging, all on track 1. And notice we have 3 of our cars are going to be actually eventually heading back to east staging, but first they've got to go to A-Town, B-Town, and C-Town. So the empty ones going to the lumber mill. The 2 that are loaded are going to our 2 industries that need lumber. And then 4 of them are going to get set out at the major yard. Notice they are also actually going to get delivered to the industries just on the return trip. Now, to be fair, with a little more fine tuning, you wouldn't necessarily get a lot of this because technically if we're going to work these industries before we get to the major yard, then we should actually be setting out or, you know, picking up these cars and stuff now. So to be fair, you know, this does need a bit of fine tuning, and that's okay. I was really going for the bigger picture, which is notice that, you know, as we look at our pickups from the lumber mill, for example, the cars are going to staging. When we pick up an empty, it's going to staging. Actually, sorry, that's a set out. It's a set out at the lumber mill, but its final destination will be back to staging. All right. It's the nice thing about schedules is it already has our final destination planned out, which can help you route the car, especially if you have a lot of different places that car could go. Knowing where it eventually will go can kind of help those of you who know your routes, you know, up and down, left and right. It can kind of help you make sense of the car, the necessary car movements, kind of know what to expect. Here's another set out at the tool mill. It's eventually going back to east staging. And then here we have a pickup at the lumber yard. Notice it's going to staging. All right, and then we have a set out at the lumber yard. So these are the ones we're setting out in the our major yard here, which is not staging. And this is where we will pick these cars up on the quote-unquote next day when we're running back. I guess that'd be back east because this is our westbound train. So if we look at the eastbound train, let's see, did I take out the car numbers? Yeah, I did because they don't really matter. I was just worried about car types. So if we look at the eastbound train, here we have some more pickups. So we're picking these up at the major yard. We've got 4 that are going to the towns, and then we've got 5 that are just automatically going to staging. There's a really good chance those could be 5 of these right here, possibly, especially looking at that possibility. Could be. Actually, no, they're not because those are going to west staging and ours are going to east staging. So let's see. These 4 actually are probably those 4 cars going to the towns. And these 5 are cars that were already on this yard track waiting to get picked up. So, of course, you can see we have some more pickups at Town C going to east staging. They are empty, but they're not going to the lumber mill. No. They're going to east staging, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. We have some cars are setting out with lumber. Notice they'll eventually go back to west staging. So, once again, we see it. If you set in your schedule that you want them to go to staging, you will not have any cars deliver loads from one industry on your layout to another. Now, if you do this, you got to make sure to have plenty of staging because notice we're going to staging here with, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 cars. We originally left staging with only 7. So you got to make sure you have plenty of staging space. But what this allows you to simulate, if you particularly want to, is the fact that most industries that ship on the railroad are going to ship far, far away, most likely farther than what you're modeling on your route, on your layout, or your little subdivision. And, you know, and so you can simulate that with these schedules. On the Coxswain sub, the SSW Coxswain sub, it's about 80 miles. If you include all the branch lines, it's really only about 60 miles north to south. And to be fair, it's set in the late 60s, early 70s. So there were still some short haul done by the railroads back then. But, you know, if you wanted to model something that was modern, you would very, very rarely be modeling something that ships less than a couple 100 miles on a class 1. So I know obviously there are exceptions here and there, but if you look at the vast majority of carloads shipped by class 1s and their average travel times and distances and cycle times, you'll see that they usually travel extremely far. So, but I hope this was helpful in seeing how to get schedules and use schedules to help you simulate long distance freight movement. Once again, this is not required for you to have a good operating railroad at all. And I usually always do a mix of, you know, some industries that ship out really far and some that ship from one industry on the railroad to another, just because I like to have some traffic that doesn't necessarily have to go bury itself in staging for a while. But I know that some of you guys would like to model this, and so I wanted to make a video for that. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have some questions, please leave a comment. And I always appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you guys next time.